Spoiler warning for Prey. You've been warned. So, I just watched Prey, and yeah, it was good. Seems like a lot of people were divided on this movie. Either they hated it or they loved it. I think it's pretty hard not to like this movie. Sure, there's some jank that makes it feel like an indie film, but most of the movie is just a big action sequence, which is what I expect from a Predator movie. Also, the movie is pretty short, which lends to it being just a quick action horror film, and it's pretty fun to watch. I do think the short runtime negatively affects it in that there's not really any time for character work or slow scenes. The beginning of the movie is pretty slow and sets up the main character wanting to prove themselves as a hunter, but that's about it. After about the 30-minute mark, she leaves home and all the action begins. And other than the end of the movie, there really isn't any other character work. But for me, that's fine. I didn't need any interesting characters or a big arc in this movie. It's a short and fun action horror movie, and that's all it really needed to be. Also, this movie can get pretty tense sometimes. I love the scene where Nero is trapped in the quicksand or mud or whatever, and she has to use the tool we just saw her make to pull herself out of the mud, and it's a really tense and cool scene. I also love the scene where she's running from the bear, and it's really scary, and the bear looks really good. And most of the CGI looks good in this movie, besides the giant spaceship in the beginning. Also, about halfway through the movie, we're introduced to the biggest threat, white people. They're pretty much just here to have a gruesome scene where the Predator is just tearing through these guys and to show Nero how to use the pistol, which she uses to shoot off Predator's helmet. Also, the acting is pretty bad in this movie, but there's not a whole lot of dialogue, so overall it really doesn't matter.
We won't be gone long enough to need a cook.
She should stay. She tracks well. If we find Pui alive, she knows medicine.
I mean, seriously, after about the first 25 minutes, the main character just leaves home and doesn't talk very much. It's just action scene after action scene, which does work for this movie, but I would have liked to see a version of this movie where it was longer and has more character moments, and they showed us why Nero really cares for her brother before he dies, but there really isn't anything like that, so there isn't a whole lot of emotional weight behind his death. Also, like, a lot of people die in this movie, but when Nero comes back at the end of the movie with the Predator's head, everyone is just super happy. Like, 5 people just died. Be sad. But overall, the ending of the movie is pretty good. I love how they show us that the darts have to follow where the laser is pointed at, and Nero uses this knowledge later to make the Predator shoot himself in the head. Having a human outsmart the monster is always pretty satisfying. Some people are saying the Predator should have known how to use his own tech and known not to shoot the gun, and yeah, that's true, but shut up, it's a dumb action movie and a really cool scene. There's a lot of nitpicking like that I could do, but that wouldn't really be fun, and that's what this movie is. Fun. And for that, I give it a 7 out of 10. Pretty good flick. So yeah, that was a pretty short review. I mean, it's a very short movie. I don't really have a whole lot to talk about with this movie, and maybe there's other stuff to talk about, but I don't know. I'm not very familiar with the Predator franchise. If I'm being honest, I've only ever watched the first movie, and that was years ago. Maybe that's a video for another time, all the Predator movies or something like that. But yeah, that's really all I had to say on this movie. It's a pretty short movie, pretty short review, and yeah, see you guys next time.